On today's What Do We Do podcast, I'm sharing my Playbook 2025 and the 5 must-have investments this year. In Washington, it's out with the old and in with the new. But what does that mean for you? It's going to be a great show, so hit the subscribe button, give us a follow, and let's go. Hello and welcome back to all of you out there in Podcast Nation and YouTube world. Happy New Year 2025. First, I want to thank you all for tuning in to the first solo episode of 2025. This is Season 5, Episode 10, number 113 overall. And today, we're going to help you thrive in 2025. All right, so let's get into it. There's an old saying of out with the old and in with the new. And I'm sure that's not always the case, but we are now out with the old president and in with the new. On January 20th, 2025, Donald J. Trump was inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. And the 119th Congress is already now in session. And the current Congress is a big deal, as the Republicans won both chambers of Congress, giving President Trump an easier road to enact his agenda for at least the next 2 years, maybe 4. And let's not forget the Federal Reserve. The Fed has transitioned from an inflation-fighting, higher interest rate environment to the beginning stages of what will likely be a multi-year rate-cutting campaign. Their dual mandate continues to be full employment and stable prices. For those that don't know, stable prices means low inflation. And for today, instead of discussing the next 4 years, we'll go with just 1 year at a time. Today is Playbook 2025, how I think you can best invest for success. And I'm not going to waste my time today setting the stage by reviewing 2024 or getting into the weeds about the past. We're going to get right into my playbook, 5 must-have investments for 2025. So grab a pad of paper and a pen or your laptop and kick back, get comfortable, and let's dive right on in. To begin, my overall theme for 2025 is a tale of two cities, or perhaps just a tale of two halves. I think the markets will march higher in the first half of 2025, and then some economic and business realities will sink in. In the second half, I think there will be more losers than winners. However, this does not imply that all areas of the market will move the same way and at the same time, everything will happen. So let's consider a strategic plan and then add your tactical moves as the data and days dictate. I hope that makes some sense. Through it all, here is my playbook, my 5 must-have investments for 2025. Number 1, cash is still king, but bonds are back. With the Fed now cutting rates and hinting lately that they may slow down the pace of future cuts in 2025, you will see the interest rates on cash continue to fall. However, and this is a big however, you can still find high-yield savings accounts or money markets above 4% APY. And core inflation is now down to 3.3. So you're still ahead of the game in cash. But bonds are back. In 2024, the Ag Bond Market Index was only up approximately 1.5% on the year, while carrying an annualized yield of around 4.5%. And Simple Finance tells us that when interest rates go down, bonds go up. And if the ag bond is paying out 4.5% in interest, which is about equal to those high yield cash accounts, but bond prices should go up as the Fed cuts rates, then bonds are back. You'll get a little bonus, a little kick from the price of your bond as you still receive that 4.5% interest rate. So consider reinvesting those bond payments too. Now, full disclosure, not all bonds are created equal. So you need to do your homework or talk to a professional, maybe our team at Great Lakes Wealth, to determine what bonds would be right for you. In general, I'm talking about intermediate investment grade corporate bonds or U.S. Treasury bonds. And if you are in a higher tax bracket or maybe a more sophisticated investor, definitely consider tax-free municipal bonds or maybe international bonds too. All right, number 2, stocks still work and dividends do matter. So I think you'll need to look beyond the Magnificent Seven or FANG stocks in 2025. Yes, I do think they'll participate in market moves higher, but I also think many non-tech sectors look better in 2025. To go through them quick, I think you can look at small to mid-cap stocks due to interest rates coming down, favorable tax treatments, and, check this out, acquisitions. And in the large cap space, particularly the non-tech names, consider both growth and value. However, try not to get caught in the value trap. And sectors to consider would be selective tech and financials, pharmaceuticals, and biotech. Maybe industrials and energy too. And as I said, dividends do matter. The average dividend in the S&P is currently around 1.3%. However, you can find many good candidates for stocks that carry dividends of 4% or more. And once you find them, reinvest those dividends too. Also, consider those companies that have rising dividends. Those are companies that increase their company's payout each year. This signals both strength and growth for the companies. And again, do your research or talk to a professional to determine what may be right for you. Number 3, in 2025, be private. And I'm talking private equity and private credit. Now, this may be a rabbit hole that many may not be able to navigate. And first, in many cases, you need to qualify for private investments. Maybe you're a retail client or an accredited investor, maybe a qualified investor or a qualified purchaser, and maybe even an institutional investor. Well, depending on the category of investor you are, the rules and opportunities are absolutely different. And so are the investment opportunities. Private investments typically have more risk, less liquidity, and higher minimums. So again, do your research, talk to a professional, including our team at Great Lakes Wealth, to determine what private investments may be right for you. Number 4, digital assets. In this current digitized world and with the new administration stance, digital assets should thrive in 2025. Digital assets is a broad category, but it includes artificial intelligence, cyber security, virtual reality, fintech, and even this thing called cryptocurrency. All of them have their own subcategories too, but as it relates to crypto, make sure you know the difference between Bitcoin and altcoins. If you want to learn more, check out our prior podcasts on cryptocurrency. So make sure you know the difference, and again, do your homework or talk to a professional. At Great Lakes Wealth, we think investing in digital assets is absolutely something to consider, but it is extremely risky, and we typically believe investors should have no more than 5% of their portfolio in each speculative investment they purchase. Number 5, gold and other hard assets. Investing is hard, and so investing in hard assets seems like the way to go in 2025. Hard assets are physical and tangible assets that hold value and are normally held for the long term. Stocks and bonds, by the way, are considered soft assets. Some examples of hard assets would include gold and other precious metals, real estate, oil and other commodities, and in 2025, let's look for gold to shine bright. And it might be a hedge against currency devaluation, maybe inflation, or maybe in 2025, it will be a store of value, providing security in a time of uncertainty. We shall see. And we typically do lead with hard assets, and they are typically defensive. So we believe investors should consider hard assets as well, but no more than 5 to 10% of their core portfolio in gold or other commodities. All right, well, there you have it. The 5 must-have investments to consider to thrive in 2025. But before we wrap it up, let me give you a little something extra because it's January and we're just getting started. But before I do that, I want to thank you all for following the podcast. And if you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, please do so now. The only way that our podcast can thrive in 2025 is if our audience continues to support us. You can do this by subscribing, by following and giving us some likes. You can give us some comments, give the thumbs up, and most importantly, share our episodes with your friends and family, because as a team, together, everyone achieves more. So thanks again for subscribing. And today's bonus is really quite simple. It's just the important reminder to be both strategic and tactical with your investments. Strategy and timing are 2 keys to investing success. If you blindly chase trends, that can leave you exposed. It's also important to partner with a financial advisor who understands this and can be watching your back. An advisor can also be proactive and help you evaluate your risk tolerance, reallocate your assets, and spot opportunities that others might overlook for you. For instance, if interest rates fall, what does that mean for your real estate portfolio? For instance, if new tax policies come into play, how will that impact your overall return? For instance, if there is a shock to the system, is your portfolio able to withstand that shock? These topics and tactical decisions require knowledge, planning, foresight. Hey, what about dollar cost averaging or entering stop orders? These are just a few additional ideas to consider for your portfolio in 2025. So talk to a professional and feel free to check us out at greatlakeswealth.us or give our office a call at 248-378-1200, and we'll be happy to try and help. Let's work together to make 2025 the best year yet. Now, I want to hear from you. What investments are you most excited about for the new year? What are your biggest questions about navigating the landscape in 2025? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to another What Do We Do podcast. And as I always say, live your best life, be radically generous, a great big booyah to ya. And this has been another episode, but we're just getting started.
The Opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.